Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Monday, August 27th, 2018 meeting of the University City Council to order at 6:30 p.m. Ms. Reese, will you please call the roll.
Councilmember Clay. Councilmember Carter.
Present.
Councilmember McMahon.
Here.
Councilmember Hales.
Here.
Councilmember Kuzic.
Here.
Councilmember Smotherson.
Here.
Mayor Pro.
Here. Thank you very much. Before we move on with the agenda, I think that all of us know that our country has lost a true hero this past weekend with Senator John McCain, though many people may have differences with his politics, particularly in the University City. I think it is important for all of us to know that we have lost a naval hero, a POW, a United States Congressman, a United States Senator who dedicated his life to his country. And so I would ask to take a brief moment of silence in respect. Thank you very much. You have before you, council members, the agenda for tonight's meeting. Previously during the study session, we asked if there were any changes, none suggested, so may I have a motion that these be approved? Motion made by Ms. Carr, seconded by Mr. Clay. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. We have no proclamations this evening. We have before you the minutes of the August 13th regular study session. I would ask the motion that they be approved. Motion by Mr. Hale, seconded by Mr. Smotherson. Any questions or concerns regarding the minutes from August the 13th? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. You have before you the August 13th study session minutes, and please let the record know that they were likes, not likes. But other than that, their motion that they be approved. Motion by Mr. Smotherson, seconded by Mrs. Carr. Any changes, additions, or corrections? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Now I have an appointment of Mr. Hales.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate Karen Ginsburg to the library board of the Wilson Deborah Gas expired term.
Thank you very much. There's been a motion by Mr. Hales, seconded by Ms. Carr. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We are now moving into the citizen participation part of the evening. For those of you who would like to speak and have not done so, there are sign-in sheets by the door that you can fill out both for agenda items and for non-agenda items. When your name is called, please step forward, give your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes to address the council. We will do agenda items. When those items come forward, we will have citizen comments both at this section of the agenda and then again at the conclusion of the meeting. Our first request to speak this evening is from Ms. Rebecca Edwards. If you push the button at the bottom, the red light will come on and you're free to go.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with all of you tonight regarding the Kingman Park pool.
Can you pull the microphone out a little bit closer to your mouth so folks can hear you? Thank you.
Is this better?
Yes.
My name is Rebecca Edwards, and I'm a new city resident and live across from the park on East Park Edge Lane. This is timely given that there remains only 1 week left of the 85th swimming season at the Kingman Pool. So if you haven't made your way over to the pool this year to see and maybe even float on the newest, hugely popular attraction, Whippet, now's the time. The reason I am here is twofold. One, to emphasize to you what a valuable asset, really quite honestly a treasure, Kingman Pool is to the patrons that use it for the brief 3 months of the year it is open. The pool serves not only as obviously a recreational facility for all ages, but perhaps equally important as a community meeting venue. One regular pool user told me he chose to buy a house in New City simply because of the pool. Unfortunately, I'm also here tonight to voice concern that there is a seemingly disconnect between city staff that make policy decisions regarding the pool and its users that simply and reasonably expect liberal access to a sparkling, clean, professionally run facility for 3 months of the year. Clearly not excessive expectations. Some examples of the disconnect. The hours of the pool were greatly reduced for a 3-week period between August 13th and August 31st this year, with the pool only open to the public Monday through Friday during this period from 4 to 8 p.m. This decision was made for the 2018 end of season period based on attendance figures for the pool for the same period in 2017. I have heard much opposition and disappointment to this reduction in pool hours from the patrons and agree with their assessment that the compromise should have been noon to 8 operating hours in order to accommodate most users. I am quite sure attendance figures ebb and flow at Centennial Commons and Ruth Park as well, but that doesn't mean slashing hours to deny people access to their favorite fitness facility is called for, but rather reducing staff to a skeleton crew during determined low attendance times and more actively pursuing aquatic programming to assist with generating revenue and perhaps even raising fees. I have learned that people will pay more for greater access. On another note regarding public pool access regards to questionable decisions made by rec staff this season to close the pool due to weather conditions. On 2 occasions this season, the pool was closed for 5 hours and then another time for 7 hours. Both times there had been electrical storms in the area, but they ended in a 50% chance of storms remaining in the forecast. In both situations, the skies cleared, the public was denied access to the pool. I have spoken to swimmers at other facilities in our region. This doesn't happen. That is, the approach taken is that there's a 50% chance it will not rain. Again, a reduction in staff policy should be employed on bad weather days rather than shutting the pool down entirely in order that patrons can still take advantage of the pool on less desirable weather days. University City residents have the right to expect policymakers to take ownership of the facilities that are in the realm of their responsibilities and to pursue excellence, not mediocrity, when carrying out those responsibilities. A proactive versus reactive management approach typically works best. The bottom of the pool has been getting filthier by the day for 2 weeks. The grass hasn't been cut. Where is the ownership by the Recreation Deputy Director? This is not meant to be mean-spirited, but in reality, this person has virtually little to no presence at the pool complex she is making policy decisions for. This is not fair to the pool patrons who want this gem of a pool to shine and resent it that it appears there is little to no support from the city, whether it thrives or not. One final plug. I am an advocate for the continuation of outsourcing pool management services at Heman. I have witnessed firsthand the striking improvement of the lifeguard component via Midwest Management and Lifeguards Unlimited compared to when it was done in-house. Also less of a chaotic environment. I do believe, however, that continuity is important here. The city should stay with one company for multiple years in order to see improvements and progress made. Every pool has its own unique culture. Thanks again for the time and hearing me out.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Tom Sullivan.
Tom Sullivan, 751 Syracuse. I would like to respond to what Eric Ginsberg said at the last council meeting. While listening to her, one question came to mind. How can so much ignorance come out of one person's mouth? Erin is upset that the media usually ignores her. No surprise there. It might have something to do with her wild, crazy accusations. I copied an article from the Business Journal having to do with tax increment financing. It was written by someone at the Show Me Institute, which is financed by Rev. Sinkfield. So Erin wants to know how much I am being paid by Sinkfield to oppose the use of the tip. It doesn't get much more bizarre than that. Is it any wonder the media ignores her? I never knew who Erin was until the last council meeting, nor did I realize what a busybody she was. She even keeps track of when I leave council meetings. What a sad, empty life she must lead to be so concerned with other people's business. She might want to be more concerned with herself. Erin also said that I was a watchdog barking up the wrong tree. With material like that, she might want to see if Jimmy Kimmel was hiring. The more she talked, the nuttier she got. Erin was even upset about a patch story on watermelons. Erin has some suggestions for me, and I have one for her. Erin before you open that big mouth of yours, you might want to get your facts straight. Almost as disgusting as Aaron at the last council meeting was your actions, Mr. Crowe, or more accurately, your lack of action. Allowing a speaker to turn the lectern around and rant and rave against a citizen is a new low for the city council. Not only did you allow it, but you encouraged it. It showed how spineless and cowardly you are. Rather than sniping the council meetings, I challenge you, Mr. Crowe, to debate on the Olive 170 development where the real issues can be debated for once, and you can't hide behind anybody else. Since you are an owner of many Great Clips hair salons, Mr. Crowe, I think consumers should know more about your support of the Olive 170 development. There is a concern in this country, especially among younger consumers, about equality, racial justice, and the treatment of immigrants. When they hear what you want to do in University City, they may want to avoid Great Clips altogether. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Our next speaker is Patricia Washington.
Maybe stay.
Patricia Washington, can you hear me? Okay. Good. Patricia Washington, 7040 Plymouth Avenue. That's third ward for those who want to know. Tonight I would like to address Councilwoman Paulette Carr's defamatory statements made about me in a recent second board newsletter. Ms. Carr takes every opportunity to remind us that she is thorough and does her homework. But in this case, she clearly did not do her homework, leading me to believe she has other motives. I will not go into great detail, but I can tell you that a letter authored by a local faith leader and shared by Ms. Carr in her newsletter contains a number of misrepresentations, and by its very detailed construct makes me question the intent of the letter and its origin. The same letter pertaining to the Olive 170 development was shared with the TIF Commission by City Manager Gregory Rose and widely shared on social media by those who scoffed at the idea of the benefits agreement. After reviewing the letter, I called the office and we had a very revealing 2-hour conversation. I then shared with that author an email and other details that without question demonstrate that the letter this person penned contained statements that were patently false. I also shared the same information with the TIF commissioners since that letter had been shared with each of the TIF commissioners. If that church simply wanted to be removed from the list of those signing on to support the CBA, they could have requested to do that. If a correction or retraction needed to be made in any public forum, that could have been done. But in my opinion, the sole purpose of that letter was an attempt to diminish the influence of those faith leaders who do support the CBA and to brand me as someone who cannot be trusted. And for that, you should be ashamed. Paulette, you did not stop at sharing that letter that had the false information. You went a step further and added your own special twist, accusing me of engaging in an action that I played no part in, nor did I have any knowledge of. Once again, you didn't do your homework and you were not thorough. In fact, it was a lie. The question is why? And as for your statement that I never reached out to council, the city manager, or staff to discuss the CBA, that is absolutely not true. And had you asked Mr. Rose, I'm sure he would have been able to produce an email from me dated June 25th, 2018, in which I requested a meeting with him and whatever staff he deemed appropriate to discuss the CBA. All of the questions that Mr. Rose and others raised during the CBA about the CBA could have been answered a long time ago. But since those questions play well with the peanut gallery, you didn't want answers. I truly hope that this council would honor its pledges to move forward in a new direction. But sadly, I don't feel like that's the case. I feel that there are certain members of this administration who enjoy stirring the pot, and they enjoy getting their supporters all ginned up. I'm deeply, deeply disappointed with the tone. I'm very disappointed. But change is coming. Councilwoman Carr, you and others in this administration have personalized the efforts to include a CBA on the Island 170 project. It's not enough to address what you believe are the shortcomings of the CBA process. You have to try to intimidate and impugn the reputation of anyone who dares cross you on this, including even some of the faith leaders in our community. I'm so disappointed. This is a community that I thought valued discourse. I believe in being able to disagree without being disagreeable. And I don't find that to have been the case in this entire process. So I'm not going anywhere. You can't fire me. You can't silence me. And I will continue advocating for a CBA. And I will continue advocating for people in my ward and in that community where I live who feel like they don't have a voice. So if that upsets you, I'm so sorry. I'm not going anywhere. And you can put that in your newsletter.
Our final speaker is Ms. Donna McGee.
Good evening. Bear with me, I don't have my readers on, but I'm going to try to do this. Thank you for this opportunity to present to you. Hello, my name is Donna McGee, and I'm the new owner of 7584 Melrose in University City. I am a proud U City graduate of 88, and my mom lived in University City for years. I just purchased my home. My neighbors are sweet and have been welcoming to me. There have been some legitimate concerns. I was told that falling debris, limbs and bark from a tree in front of my home at 7584 Melrose has landed near and in some of the residents' yards. Some of the other residents that I met down the street voiced similar concerns regarding the debris. I visited the City Hall at University City to discuss these issues and to find out exactly who owns the tree. And I visited on August 3rd. That was my first visit at City Hall. I was told by the secretary, Ms. Carter, that the ownership is based on the distance from the center of my cul-de-sac to the edge of the street. My area of the street does not have a sidewalk to clearly let me know who owns the tree. I found out that the tree belongs to the city of University City. I needed that clarity. I would like to have the tree cut down. I know that University City loves trees. I have a bachelor's in biology. I've taken botany. I'm not an expert, but I love science and I do respect the trees. They look beautiful. However, this particular tree is a hazard waiting to happen. I will respectfully provide my reasons or concerns. First of all, several large limbs of the tree hang very low over the top of my house, over both neighbors' houses on either side of me, and near the front street light between my house and my neighbors' houses. Large pieces of bark are falling, have been falling, and it's still summer. I can only imagine what that would look like in the fall and winter season. I frequently clear not only bark from my yard, but from the street in front of me, very large limbs as well. I clear the extremely large limbs and place them out of the street and out of my neighbors' yards, since they are too large and thick to put in waste bags. My neighbors have been gracious, and I assure them that I will contact the park operations team. I am the new resident on the block, and I want to be respectful of others' property and concerns. I was told that the previous owner, who's a very well-respected resident, who was Miss Poppy, she's moved with her family, a very seasoned lady, very respected on the block, shared similar concerns, and she presented those to the neighbors before moving, and she thought it was her tree. That's what she was told, I'm told. I'm concerned that if there's a storm, that already rotting tree will cause roof damage, not only to my house, but to the neighbors, considering the state of the tree and current debris. I don't want our homeowners insurance to slap our hands financially because of the lack of proactive actions to get rid of the tree. The roots from the tree appear to be pushing up on the edge of the driveway pavement and have resulted in cracks on the side of my driveway, which appeared to be the pressure from the roof. It makes me uncomfortable driving up on the driveway and results in scraping sounds of my car, and this hindrance has caused me to park in the street. The large tree is a potential plumbing issue, roots love water, and I don't want to have a pipe issue as a result of this huge tree and its roots. So the sidewalk is definitely crying for mercy. I don't want to pay for a sewer lateral repair. I know that you all have an 80-20, and I know that there's some information going forth about the 70-30 repair program. I prefer to avoid those repairs. The city could save so much money on things other than repairing this. I have had the experience years ago with the U-City tree landing on my car, not limbs, but actually a tree, similar to this one. A storm resulted in the entire tree, a U-City tree falling on my Camry. U-City police officers were gracious enough to call in the middle of the night and reported that it was actually a U-City tree on my car. At the scene, chainsaws and every other heavy equipment was on the scene immediately to get it off of my car by the city or whoever was contracted. But I still love trees. I just know that these trees and limbs are just time bombs. With that said, here's my requested solution. If the tree belongs to U-City, and I've since found out that it does, please cut the tree down, even the stump. Cutting a few limbs is not the solution since the driveway pavement is already impacted and I'm parking on the street. Cutting the entire tree down would be the solution. It's gorgeous, but nevertheless, it served its purpose. Please cut the tree down. The money that the city and residents have saved from the sewer lateral can be used for Ms. Marvel Slang's senior program, COCA, the trolley project, and any other thing that can relieve the taxpayers and be a blessing to the city. This tree is ancient and has served its purpose. It appears to be the largest thing on the block. I don't need a sidewalk. I'm a proud city resident and protect you all honor my petition. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Citizen participation, you know, there'll be another section later on in the evening. Tonight we have no public hearings. We have before you, council members, the consent agenda for electronic equipment. Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Hale, second by Mr. Clay. Discussion. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Thank you. We'll move forward now to the city manager's report. Mr. Rhodes.
Honorable Mayor, council members, this first agenda item asks for you to consider 2 change orders for the Kingsford Bridge reconstruction project. The total amount for the change orders is $43,164.70. It's required for performance of the work outlined in the change order. Change order 1 is due to the need for additional reinforcing steel and saw cutting. The change order was presented in the amount of $24,905.25. Change order 2 is due to the need for added concrete paving repairs. I would entertain any questions that you might have regarding this item, and we recommend approval.
Thank you very much. May I first have a motion to approve? Mr. McMahon, is there a second? Mr. Hales, any discussion regarding item number 1? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Honorable Mayor, council member, this next item recommends approval of a picnic liquor license for Midwest Association of Farmers Markets. The events are scheduled to take place Saturday, September 1st and Saturday, October 20th, 2018 at the Midtown Farmers Market, 6655 Delmont Boulevard, University City.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to this card? Is there a second? Mr. Smotherson, any discussion? We do have one request to speak. Ms. Henderson.
Hello, Mayor Crowe and council members. We're seeking your approval this evening for a picnic liquor license for 2 events. They're both fundraisers. The first one is the second annual Philippine Night Market even though it says night market, everything's finished by about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And the other is our third annual Chef's Cook Reel Challenge and our Chef Style Cook-Off in University City. Both have been very popular. Both are showcasing. One is a fundraiser for the AHAM Foundation for libraries in the Philippines. And the second one benefits the chef programs and events for the farmers market. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a motion before the body. Are there any questions or items to discuss? Mr. Kuzic.
Yes, what time of the day will these events be taking place?
The first one would be from 4 to about 8 p.m. Last year we had it and everything was finished by 8 p.m. and we were closed up by 8:30. And the second one on October 20th, usually we're finished by about 1:30, 2 o'clock. And the time frame for each one is very limited. It's not something that goes on all day.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Mayor, this final item under the city manager's report asks the council to receive a presentation on our policing strategy, as well as our drone program. And Chief Hampton will start it out with the policing strategy and turn it over to Chief Henson for information regarding our drone program. Chief Hampton.
Good evening. I'm trying to be as quickly as I can with this, with being detailed. University City Police Department, like I say, has been founded since 1906. One of the first jurisdictions to have policing in St. Louis County. A lot of people don't get to understand that fact, or don't know that fact. Moving on to the next organizational structure, we currently have, like I said, chief of police and 3 bureaus. The bureaus are kind of condensed to, when I first came, there was a total of 5 different bureaus. So now there's more of a concentrated need in several of these bureaus. Bureau of Field Operation is commanded by a captain, and that deals with all uniform patrol officers, the crime analysts, the K-9 patrol, on and on. The Bureau of Investigation is now co-commanded by 2 lieutenants, and the reason is that it expands our hours of operation throughout the weekend, throughout the nights. And it gives us more of a commander presence for high-profile investigations. Same thing with Bureau of Services. We have a captain, the commander of that, that's in charge of all of our dispatchers, non-commissioned personnel, so have you. And a lot of these platoons and squads are broken down within these 3 bureaus, whether it's the community action team, traffic officers, the bike patrol, the drug task force, the carjacking task force. Units, these officers come from these different bureaus as we speak. Currently, for 2018, we're budgeted for 79 officers. Current staffing of 70 officers, which is 1 recruit that's currently in the police academy. Started that police academy tour of duty, I guess, in April, early April. Currently need to hire 8 officers. And with that being said, several officers are in the process. This is a very competitive field. And giving you an example of the competitive field, as of 2 to 3 weeks ago, St. Louis County was down 23 officers. St. Louis City was down, I know for a fact, at least 25, but it could be even more than that with their numbers. You talk about a force of 1,200 that can't stay on because of leave or whether it's attrition, retirement. It's a very tricky career to be in at this time. And what I mean by that, very hard to attract millennials to stay more than 3 to 5 years. And that's something that we're trying to adapt to the millennials as well as the Gen Xers. Calls for service for 2017, there was a total of at least 46,000 calls compared to 2016, 45,000 calls. So you're basically speaking of a lot of high demands that continue to increase. White collar crime is on the rise. Criminals letting technology work for them as opposed to coming out doing the blue collar crimes, getting caught, and they will take their chances with the white collar. A lot less of sentencing time when being caught and convicted with those white collar crimes. See a lot of, besides just embezzlement, the credit card cloning process and what have you. Primary demands, 24 hours, 7 days a week, really 25 hours, 8 days a week, like I said, through heat, rain, snow, sleep. You're gonna have patrols, crime suppressions, neighborhoods, streets, street patrol, business patrols, schools, traffic controls, etc. Special patrols include the Delmar Loop area, the parks in general, whether it's Heaton, Villa Park, Fogarty Park, doesn't make a difference which park. We have a lot of parks command, and we don't have any park rangers here coming, or St. Louis County Park Rangers are not patrolling in University City. So we have to take on that demand as needed. Geographic regions. We currently break down University City 7 square miles into 7 current districts, and that is 7 districts that we have to. It's might be a little hard to see from here, whether it's Ward 3, for instance, has 3 districts. You have District 1, District 5, and District 6 in Ward 3. South of Delmar has approximately 3 districts as well: District 3, District 4, District 7. So understanding that, of course, with District 2 kind of being in the middle of that on the edge, we border St. Louis City, Wellston, Pagetille, Anita Park, Oakland, Olivet, Ladue, Clayton, and Washington University are all borders on our community. At times, this becomes a challenge for policing efforts in some of these communities, but we have to pick up that slack when that is not being provided on a regular basis, on a routine basis from some of these communities. We have to, because anything that can occur across the street, we have some very tricky borders. For instance, Southern and Epsom, that's one border that it takes a while for officers to get used to, that the car wash right at Southern and Epsom is not in University City. That's in Wellston. So let's just say patrol past that, that's just outside of our border. So when we have incidents there, sometimes the dispatchers or the officers have to kind of inform each other whether or not that's in our town. Part 1 crime comparison, as in comparisons from 2016 to 2017. 2016 had 1,605 Part 1 crimes. Part 1 crimes are breaking up the most 8 serious crimes that there are to report. There's homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, crimes against persons like burglary, larceny, auto theft, and arson. In 2017, we dropped that down by 14%. And that's just an understanding of the concentrated patrols and adding to the special units and keeping up with the manpower staffing as we can. That was a total of 1,379 Part 1 crimes in 2017. Of course, 2018 is still ongoing, but we'll have that at the end. We have to report our crime stats directly to the Missouri State Highway Patrol, which then takes and looks and says, yeah, hey, this is accurate, this is correct, and then we will report that to the federal government as well. And that is to keep up with any federal monies that may come in to balance their law enforcement efforts, grants, whatever the case is, cops grants, and I'll get into some of that. Part 1 crime comparison, it breaks down each particular crime. You see in homicides, we definitely want to keep those to very, this is, like I say, very tricky times we live in. With just yesterday or the day before, you had the gaming shooting. There was a gaming competition, and I'll get back to this. There was a gaming competition, basically, where the shooter was participating in the gaming competition. He lost a match, and he pretty much flipped out from there, and pulled out a weapon that he had on him and shot several and injured and killed several during that time. So security is something that you really cannot relax on. Comparisons of robberies, the activated, it's just a breakdown to see how we got to those numbers. That was the comparisons from 2016 to 2017. Part one, crime comparison, regional analysis. This is a breakdown of the districts you see. Districts 2 and 3, which is the Delaware Loop area per se. The reason that number is probably the highest is because you're looking at larcenies per se. Whether that's bicycles, dine and dash, anything that will make up an auto left unlocked and someone comes in and takes the change out of the mid-console, that counts as that number. And then you move down to the next three districts are 5, 1, and 6, which like I said is in Ward 3, and that makes up those particular numbers as well. Right. Part one, crime comparison, just a regional analysis for 2017 within the particular areas that's broken down in University City. Okay. This is the part one crimes from the Delaware Loop area from 2000 to 2017. As you can see, there is actually a gradual decrease of numbers of crimes that get reported or at least get investigated to us, because we can only go by what is either seen on hand or what is reported. And back in 2003, you can see it's pretty much the highest at 245 part one crimes. Now down to 2017 where we were 91. Part one crimes in the loop. This is a larger pie scale to show you the majority of what those crimes were. 82.64% of larcenies, like I speak of, like the diamond dash, the larcenies, the cell phone left on the table, I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna take it instead of returning it to you. And sometimes it's a variety of those type of crimes. And one particular incident may account for 2 of these numbers, depending on what's taken or how many guests were sitting at a table, whatever the case is, or ignorant car-wise. Could be different victims in the same vehicle. Part one crimes for Ward 3. This is a breakdown from year 2000 to 2017. Like I said, there has not been a gradual increase. There's been more of a decrease within the 2016 to the 17, a slight increase that we would like to get down more. And with more concentrated patrols, with more special units like the community action team, the special operations unit, we can do that. And we'll speak about that more when it comes to the staffing. This is University City SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths, employees and staff, professionals, and striving towards excellence, quick response time to incidents, community-oriented policing. We respond to everything, whether it's a dog call or a shooting in progress. We're there. Anything that deals with it being reported, whether it's 911 or to the non-emergency number as well. Now they're going into probably about before the end of the year, there's the texting capabilities to 911 that's being updated for different jurisdictions. We're on that list to have that updated for that capability for texting and mobile phone communications with 911. Going into the weaknesses, staffing increasing, staffing by 20% is just an estimation of what we believe that we will need. And also retention program to make sure that we're able to retain. We have slated just even now, there's probably some officers next year that would like to retire. That may have the numbers, may have the years that would like to retire, whether that's through attrition or whether that's some officers that just decide to change jobs. We had one recently that came to a monastery, left police work in general. Opportunities, development of an anti-crime initiative program. UCPD Citizens Academy is being redeveloped, as well as enhancing everything that we do. not just the police, but why we do what we do, whether it's prosecution, whether it's the taking it to the next level, all of that is in the Citizens Academy. Sponsorships through St. Louis County Police Academy. That's basically, we're one of the few jurisdictions still in St. Louis County that sponsor our own employees through St. Louis County Police Academy, as opposed to waiting till they get their certification. And the reason we like to do that is because of the development, the buy-in, to show that we buy into you and we want you to stay for the long haul, as opposed to free agents. If you say, if I can use that, as opposed to just free agents hopping from department to department. Threats, reduction in staff due to attrition, reduction in grants and funding, reduction in public safety services surrounding University City. I can speak real quickly on reductions in grants and funding. We had a grant just recently returned to us from, I believe, MoDOT, where we put in for it like $18,000 worth of that grant, and we got approved for $2,000. So that tells you that's a big break into what we were expecting or hoping to get even half of that. And that's for enforcements for lots of different reasons, whether it's DWI, whether it's crosswalks, hazardous materials, what have you. Comparison with comparable cities. And the reason I have these two cities up here, Raytown, Missouri, I know many may not have heard that, but that's one of the first municipalities outside of the Kansas City metropolitan area. Basically, it is the first. It is the first municipality outside of Kansas City metropolitan area. I can speak on Raytown itself. Excuse me. City leaders of Raytown approved a budget that includes nearly $3 million in cuts for a police department, which led to approximately 30 positions being eliminated, 17 full-time officers, and the rest were supporting staff. You can go on a downward trend when you start to move out of securing your jurisdiction, whether that's budget cuts in general for the entire city, or whether that's in general just budget cuts for public safety. And that's a downward trend, but you see that the crime rates are still going to go up. Right now, these two cities do not have their 2017 Part 1 crimes listed up on their database, and they were not provided at that time. I think we're one of the few cities that does still have it up and going on our websites and uploaded for everyone. Florissant, Missouri was last listed at 51,000. Part 1 crimes are very similar to ours, as well as now they currently have a staff, as the chief just 2 days ago said they have a staff of 93 police officers. Florissant did enact a 10% raise for prop pit money as well. We recently lost 2 officers from University City to Florissant PD. So it's just an example of the type of trainings that you have to see in the competitive field of policing. University City Police Facility. University City Police Department currently operates from a approximately 20,000 square foot temporary modular structure that was constructed in 2016. A key objective is to obtain a permanent state-of-the-art police facility to effectively and efficiently operate the current and growing needs of the police department and our community that we serve. Certification through the Missouri Police Chiefs Association. State certification with the Missouri Police Chiefs Charitable Foundation. We're going through the Missouri Police Chiefs because one, this process began early in 2016, but 2 is that it's very detailed as far as Missouri commanders and chiefs coming in and assessing your policies, your procedures, your processes, your administrative regulations, as opposed to states like Montana, New York, Georgia, such and such.
I'm here in council. I just want to make a clarification regarding the previous slide regarding the facility that police currently operates in, as well as the direction that we're headed. As you all know, I've asked for funding to evaluate the current annex as far as how it could potentially be used to house certain police operations. The headquarters facility remaining here in the downtown area, as well as included in the capital improvement program is funding for a new police substation, and we believe the location is still yet to be determined, but we certainly know that the most severe crimes that are occurring occur in the northeast section of our city. So I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Strategic plan, anti-crime initiative. University City Police Department Anti-Crime Initiative Program will allow the police department to improve methods of preventing crime, the fear of crime, increase police visibility, and continue efforts to develop a cohesive partnership with the residents, with our community. In keeping with the core elements of the department's community policing strategy, the anti-crime initiative brings together law enforcement community, residents, stakeholders, other city departments, and sister agencies to develop and implement and report on comprehensive multifaceted strategies and such as that. SEPTIC, crime prevention through environmental design. This is a way to prevent and reduce the most prevalent violent crimes in targeted neighborhoods. And I'll speak on that when I go through the 6 pillars of the president's task. This is what we base most of this strategic plan off of. The first pillar is building the trust and legitimacy. Second pillar, policy and oversight. Third pillar, technology and social media. Fourth pillar, community policing and crime reduction. Fifth pillar, training and education. Sixth pillar, also wellness and safety. All of these have been implemented and are still being enhanced as we speak. We have also wellness and safety. We have the community engagement steady going on, steady increasing. I can give you an example of the National Night Out Back to School event. We processed over 500 kids for fingerprint kits for their families to take home with them. There was approximately 1,000 attendees at this event. Much help from our focus group members here in University City that prepared the food, served the food, and enjoyed the atmosphere. And we actually have a post meeting tomorrow with Captain Morley attending that. And so we look forward to continued success with the National Night Out and other community engagement events. First pillar is building trust, working together, policing, partnering with the community. It's packed. Basically, the only easy day was yesterday, and that's the Navy SEAL Corps. And that's what we live by at the University City Police Department. Only easy day was yesterday. So don't expect any easy days, don't expect any givens. And we want to continue to be prepared, have a plan, have that plan thought out, and make sure we execute those plans. First and second pillars, build trust, policy, and oversight, working together. What PAC will do is engage the community, set local priorities, work together, and take action. Focus on deterrence. Deterrence goes a long way. You can never really count deterrence, but it goes a long way to have that deterrence. I can give you some communities just west of us may not even have half the amount of officers that we have on duty at one given time. And whether their business community is bigger than us or not, they don't have half those officers on because it's more of the manpower and staffing that they can't provide at that given time. You may say you have the capacity to have 7 officers total. That's not us, but that's other communities. However, if any given time an officer wants leave, an officer is out on sick leave, an officer is out on FMLA, an officer is going out of town for vacation, you can't count those officers. You have to provide a minimum manpower, which is what we set those standards with our CBA, with the union, and we make sure that we enforce those as we go. How to get involved? There are a number of ways to get involved, teams to talk about. We have crime prevention meetings, we have focus group meetings, and we're looking to, with the possible new substation, to move those focus group meetings to that new facility. So a facility that we can facilitate those type of meetings, the community meetings, the community engagement meetings, any of those. Citizens Police Academy, same there. Volunteers in Police Service Program that is up and going. We are fielding through the candidates as we speak. Online crime submission, we get those on a regular, and that is followed up and dealt with in accordingly with. And we track those. So if you ever want feedback on something that gets reported, please contact us any given time. Community camera program, we're still trying to grow on that. We're still putting that out. We have a lot of communities kind of copying that module that we put out there, and we enjoy it. You know, we definitely like to be forerunners in it. These are the two new chaplains for University City. Ms. Alberta Smith, Reverend Alberta Smith, Rabbi Hershai Novak. Both are in active training with us, and as well as attending several meetings, roll calls. Rabbi Novak will be training the officers through roll call for the holidays, the high holidays that's coming up, as far as the communication and contact that we have with the Jewish community. Community outreach, hate crime panel discussion, kickball with Jackson Park, 2017 toy giveaway. We pretty much had those the last 2 years. All of these prom sponsorship. That's through our Ladies Encouraging Others. That's LEO. That's an all-female group within University City Police Department that we help sponsor juveniles from the local high school, as well as for not for prom, not only for prom, but for college giveaway packages when they go off to school. Coffee with the Cop, we have one coming up in September at Winslow's on Delmore. We have more coming up. Probably we're going to try to engage Frankie Helms, try to go on and try to spread these out and not go back to the same locations each time. Prescription pill drop off, we actually have, we host those like twice a year with the DEA, where we encourage to get these pills, whether illegal or not, off the street. And you'd be amazed at how much we make a dent in that availability to those pills. We actually have a box over at the University City Police Department now. And that's a contained box that we contain that we can have picked up by the DEA at any given time. So it can be dropped off. Any pills that you like, prescription pills that you no longer need, drop off at the University City Police Department. Collaborations with University City High School continuously goes on. We have a new SRO up at the high school. I want to say it's the first male SRO that we've had in quite some time. Coffee with the Cop, I spoke on that. That's an ongoing program. Training and education. It is the goal of the administration of the University City Police Department to be the best trained and the best equipped. Training must be relevant and effective, and we continuously enhance that every year. University City Police Department training summary. This is a breakdown of all the hours. Let you go through these on your slides. This is definitely the racial profiling, the officer well-being, the fair and impartial policing, the cognitive impairment, the mental health and cognitive impairment, tactical training, and goes into what we want to do next is a virtual training. We have been utilizing St. Louis County's virtual training facility, and this is what it looks like on the screen actually. 5-panel, 300-degree immersive training at any given time. A different scenario can pop up depending on your verbalization skills, the verbal judo, and the way that you talk down the suspect or perpetrator. We would like to have one of those actually in our facilities as well. Officer wellness and safety. We have several certified physical trainers within the department, but we partner with them and develop an in-service training mechanism to where they can actually do this all throughout the day, 24 hours, and not continuously, but a 20-minute period. Crime reduction and community policing. Methods. Collaboration with multi-jurisdictional task forces that continues to go, whether that's with St. Louis County for the drug task force, or whether that's with St. Louis City with the carjacking task force, implementation of the community action team. Right now we have 2 to 3 members, and we would like to keep enhancing that to keep deploying them in hotspot policing areas, as well as the special operations area. K-9 division, we'll get into that. Crime reduction. Collaboration with those military jurisdictions, these are some of the agencies that we're with, besides Missouri Police Chiefs, St. Louis Area Police Chiefs, Criminal Exchange Group, carjacking, like I said. Juvenile Diversion Program, I definitely want to speak on this because this is a pilot program with the Family Court of St. Louis County to divert those children that are not committing those actual crimes, but are starting to head that way with infractions, with minor infractions that normally don't get enforced through the family court. And we're one of the first jurisdictions that they came to because of the so much involvement that we have with the juveniles, per se. So I definitely want to, with Chief Rick Gaines and the family court, I want to definitely give them the proper respect for that, for coming to us on that. Implementation of community action teams, special operations unit, and K9. And I'll speak about the K9 coming up here. Bike and business patrol, let me speak on this. This is approximately, we'll probably need about 6 officers to implement this, because this is something that we will need to combat the different struggles that we may face for the business communities, the business districts, whether it's on the east end of town, whether it's on the west end of town, to the point of having that continual presence in the Delmar Loop, continual presence in the business areas. Traffic and code enforcement as well, whether that's crosswalk enforcement, whether that's speeding up and down Olive or Delmar, either or Jackson. UCPD K9 units, it's also rural K9 officer.
If I could interrupt you for 1 second, I just want to highlight what's being proposed here for the dedicated patrol. The 2 areas, one that once it gets to the staffing here very shortly, is already baked into this. So a dedicated patrol for the Loop area.
Correct.
We certainly intend to reach out to Washington University to potentially partner with us in those efforts. The second area that is baked into this as well is if the TIP continues to advance, a dedicated patrol in that area as well.
K9 officer, this is K9 Rhino. He's been on duty with us, I guess now since January of this year. We actually have a second K9 that is a puppy, approximately 8 months old. He's in early stages of training. We haven't really gave a name yet, so I don't want to throw a name out there on that. But he's actually kind of bigger than Rhino as we speak. Both, I believe, are Belgian Malamutes the breed. So we are enhancing that K9 unit to continuously grow with us. This leads us to the staffing goals. Staffing goals, hire 8 to 10 police officers, new police officers each year for the next 2 to 3 years. This will help combat the attrition rate of 2 to 4 officers per year. Officers which you lose on a given basis, whether their family structure is not within law enforcement any longer, or whether they move out of the area, whether they move to another field, or whether, like I say, they go to another department that they feel may be paying more in their mind, it would benefit or what have you. Hiring will include a full-time victim services ambassador to assist with our part-time victim advocate. A part-time victim advocate currently now is our crime analyst, Ms. Lane, and she does a wonderful job with all the stats, with all the reports that we need to be prepared for the stats and having. Future staffing goal, I put this out here because this is what we based off of if the TIF in that area is developed, as well as providing full-time patrols in these business districts and traffic assignments, as well as K9 and what have you, 92 to 96 commissioned officers. We apply for COPS grant every year. Actually made a new contact to kind of help us facilitate, hopefully get a couple COPS grants for the next couple of years, so if that's possible.
Chief, what is the number of officers that you currently have?
We're currently allowed for 79.
79, so we're proposing to increase it to between 92 and 96, but with that, we'll be able to have dedicated patrols in those business areas.
Yes, sir. Policing through environmental design, this is CEPTED, community policing through environmental design, basic principles of CEPTED, controlling access to neighborhoods and buildings and conducting surveillance on specific areas to reduce opportunities for crime to occur. Basically, scoping out the area that is being targeted and understanding how that can be redesigned within the owner's capabilities. Businesses, we do this on a routine basis when we give business security audits. Whether that's a gas station, whether that's, I can tell you right now what's being done is the development right at Olive and Kingston. We're gonna have input with them to try to get CEPTED introduced there so they can understand this is how you can reduce being targeted for larcenies, robberies, and what have you. Policing through environmental design, how will we address current and future issues? Scanning, identifying the problem, analysis, studying the problem, and identify possible solutions. Several, basically what this is. Response, implementing custom design response, assessment, evaluate the action taken. And this is not something that we created. This is something that we're adapting to utilize here within our strategic plan and our combating the crimes that's going on. Policing with technology, and this is towards the end of the last parts of my presentation. Police technology can cover a number of different innovations, and we want to introduce some of these innovations that we have out here. Body-worn and in-car camera. We are already in the process. We have demos installed in our vehicles right now, so we literally had demonstrations from maybe 6 companies already, whether that's Axon, whether that's WatchGuard, whether that's ProVision, on and on and on. Vigilant, we have those in the cars to utilize to see which system is the best fit for a university city. GPS, we have GPS on approximately all of our fleet, and they're still being installed as we speak. This helps with not only officer safety, also helps with patrolling habits, helps with accountability as to what we do on a regular basis, on a routine basis of how we patrol. Gunshot detection technology, we've reached out, we got reached out to from Region, which is a competitor of ShotSpotter. However, Region's reach was the big data. And I don't want to put that out there as a downfall because we clearly expressed to them we were not interested in the big data that can go on in that aspect. So with that being said, there are other ShotSpotter or other gunshot detection technologies that's out there that we would like to keep researching, see getting the best options for University City. License plates readers, we got awarded a grant from Missouri Police Chiefs. With us being within that accreditation process, we have one of these awarded for vehicles that read when license plates are stolen, a car is stolen, when vehicles not registered properly, and so on and so on. Handheld fingerprint scanners, this helps to identify when suspects are trying to, lie to the officers or to the personnel and avoid maybe being enforced at that particular time. Policing with technology, bait cars. We have done research on bait cars to reduce the auto larcenies, to reduce the auto thefts and state. And we are currently in the process, in the early stages of partnering with St. Louis County. With currently their bait car is down, and we are in the early stages of partnering, which is us and St. Louis County for that particular type of vehicle. Policing with technology, robotics. This is a particular device. This is just an example of how you can come into a barricaded home and have audio and visual without having officers at risk, personnel at risk. This is one of the robotics that can do, that can get that job accomplished. And then we're still researching that as well. Still trying to see what's the best fit for the university. Policing with technology, this is my last slide. This is the drone, basically, that we've backed off of the University City Fire Departments back to help utilize this for missing children, for civil unrest, It has been deployed several times. You're actually looking at a operator over here. He's fully trained with that, along with Mr. Pagano in the back that will be speaking over, and I'll just pass it over to this. Thanks.
Hello, Mayor and council members. If you recall, you dedicated a significant amount of funding for the creation of a drone program, and you also, within that funding, you have authorized the purchase of 2 drones at this point. One was in last fiscal year, and the other is in this fiscal year. I believe that Mr. Pagano is simply going to provide an overview of how our drone program continues to evolve.
Sorry, my stuff's a little complicated here. Good evening, my name is Matt Pagano. I'm a private with the University City Fire Department. Mr. Rose and Chief Henson asked me to come up and give you guys a rundown. I've given you guys copies of this as well. Currently, our capabilities are very strong. We're kind of been described by the Air Traffic Control Lambert Airport as a model program for public safety drones in the St. Louis area and the Midwest. We have 2 training drones that were purchased early on with our training budget from the fire department prior to the implementation by the council. And those are the ones that we have flown to learn skills and muscle memory for deploying the larger tactical drones. We currently have a 210, DJI Matrice 210 tactical drone and a 210 RTK tactical drone is on order and shipping in this week. The tactical drones carry 2 payloads each. So we have 2 thermal imaging cameras, 2 tactical zoom cameras, and 2 high definition cameras for doing mapping and for capturing video and high definition still photography. Currently, we have 2 FAA licensed pilots per crew, for a total of 6 within the fire department. We have 3 additional pilots in training per crew, so we'll have a total of 9 licensed pilots that are able to fly at any time. We have established standard operating procedures for the UAS program. We've gone out and looked at operating procedures for other departments throughout the country who have been leaders in this industry, and we refined them and adjusted them to the needs of the university today. We currently have plane deployment for both drone systems. We have a UAS vehicle, which is a 2619, which is a retired Chevrolet Tahoe that we've brought back into service for the drone program. And we have a light rescue truck, which was just acquired and is being set up right now. We'll carry the second. We'll have 1 tactical drone and training drone at House 2 and 1 at House 1, so that a pair at House 1 as well, so that no matter where the pilots are on duty at, they'll have full access to tactical and 24/7. We have applied for our training program. I'm really very proud of all of the guys that volunteer. All of the pilots within the fire department and police department are volunteers. They've all put in many additional hours outside their normal scope of business to study and to make themselves very well aware of charting within the airspace, flight restrictions with the FAA hands down to this program, and all of the restrictions and knowledge that's required by the FAA to pilot this craft, along with our partners in the police department that are also studying. We've applied for and received waivers from the FAA and authorizations. We have an authorization to fly at night, which is illegal for anyone that doesn't have that from the FAA. So we have a controlled space operations authorization for Class B around Lambert International Airport. We're the first department in the nation that was actually awarded this. Whenever Lambert's air traffic control came down to our engine house, and they reviewed all of our training records and all of our maintenance records for our program, as well as all of the credentials for our pilots and
they thought that they described us as a model program for public safety drone operations. And they went to that for us, based on what they saw, and contacted the national headquarters in Washington, D.C. and got our authorization through. We can fly anywhere in the 200 zone without contacting them at all. And we're the only department in the Midwest right now. I think that it just might have bled over to some of the other bigger departments on the coast, but we're the only ones in Chicago, St. Louis, Midwest area that can fly in 0 zones around the airport. We have a special authorization, a phone number, we contact them, and they allow us to do so. Whenever we implemented the program, from the very beginning, we felt that for the city to make this large of an investment in this program, it had to be a benefit to the entire city. And we've been very successful in making that so. The fire department trains practically every single day, either on flight, control, payloads, night flight, tactical applications for the drones, or ongoing maintenance and inspection of the flight systems to keep them up and operational 24 hours, 7 days a week. Excuse me. We fly for all of the city departments. We coordinate with the pilots from the police department and work with them anytime that they need the drones deployed. Additionally, we've flown for the library, the public works department. We've given them every 10-day flight over the Kingsville project so that they can make decisions and get data up in a more bird's eye view type of platform. We went over to Washington University pedestrian bridge replacement was done with that, and pictures of that as it was finished up. Parks Department, we have renovations for them so that they review them, make sure that they're done correctly, and then present them up the chain of command. And we also did a detailed mapping of Human Park with the demo of the Pixel software we're going to talk about here tonight. Facilities maintenance, we have photographed infrastructure within the city, including this building, with the long-range tactical zoom cameras we can stand off. It has a 30 times optical zoom, so I can zoom in and get detailed pictures of areas of concern on this building or any other city buildings and roofs and things like that that we've had concern with, and we've done that for them as well. We feel the next step is the mapping modeling software. We've demoed 2 different forms of this, and basically what it does is it uses photogrammetry, which is using photographs to be able to measure and gain data from sites within your city. It's capable of creating detailed maps and models, 3D models of any area, as small as a small area like a building, or as big as Human Park. Multiple areas. With the RTK system that we ordered, we ordered that specific system because with the RTK data, it gives forensic quality reproduction of scenes for replication in every 4 cases for the fire department and the police department. Fire scenes, crime scenes, or motor vehicle crash scenes can very quickly be photographed by the drone, the software, and then punch it, and then detailed measurements and things necessary for the investigation to be gleaned from that software. It gives the public works the ability to review projects along a timeline where they can look over from the very beginning of the project, using the Kingsville Bridge as an example, all the way to current time, just by clicking on the date, and it refreshes their 3D map where they can actually turn it, look at it, take measurements, and get all of the data that they need from that through the timeline. It also allows the Public Works Department to overlay CAD drawings that they have for a project over the project and confirm conformity to what the proposed project was. So I wrote a very brief video on the project. Bear with me. Sorry, 1 second. So it's Pixel EIM is the software. And it's measuring from the images. They don't, there's really not words, so I'm just gonna kind of go over what they're talking about here real quick. Basically, the drone is deployed, it photographs the scene, and then all of the data from those photographs is dumped into the computer, and the computer crunches the data, and creates the map and the 3D model. It's very effective for use in inspections, where it not only does the 3D model where you can rotate and look at things, but it also shows you the picture of the original photograph that the model is built from. It has higher flexibility, which means that once we process it on our desktop, we can upload it to the cloud, and then other department heads can pull that up and be able to access the data. So here what they're doing is they're going to draw points around this pile, and then using the data that it compiles, it will actually tell the cubic yards of material that are in that pile just from the photographs. It gives what they're doing here is they're looking at the high and low points on the photograph based on the thing. So this is the software, and those are the images that the underlying 3D rendering below are built off of. Those are the pictures that were taken by the drone. Here, this is where it takes and makes it from a 2D image into a 3D image where you can rotate it and see it from all angles, as well as take measurements. If you look at the top, that's the timeline. So as they click on that, they can change what date they want to see the project and what its progress was. Here, they're just clicking and they're measuring the distances and the square footage areas and comparing them to the plans. And here they're going to upload the CAD drawing and lay it over the existing image that they've captured and compare it from the plan to reality. Whenever this is done, they can actually, using the opacity, they can turn it up or down so that they can see if the walls that are being built by the project manager are comparable with the CAD drawings that they were presented. And this is finally where they're sharing the data to other vendors after they've put their notes and annotations into it. So citywide, for this program, we're planning on using with the fire department. We can do a detailed 3D map of all of our target buildings, any large area where we're going to have a lot of people or hazardous materials that are going to be difficult to mitigate emergencies with. Mapping of fire scenes for later forensic examination. Police department, mapping of crime scenes and motor vehicle crash scenes for that. Detailed mapping and modeling for officer investigation prior to search warrants or to further investigations. Parks and recreation, detailed mapping of city parks and facilities for operations and for measurement. Excuse me, public works, detailed mapping with progress reports for their public works projects. All of the data that this system processes from the drones is directly exportable to the existing GIS Esri system that the Public Works Department currently uses. Community development has an ArcGIS system terminal. Again, all of the data that we collect with the drones is direct, after being processed by the software, is directly exportable into their ArcGIS system. Root Park Golf Course, we've spoken with them. They're interested in detailed maps of the course with the capability to measure and render each hole individually for golfer education and for the public to be able to see. Facilities maintenance, detailed mapping and modeling for city infrastructure facilities so that better, more efficient need assessments can be done, and for the efficient planning of cleaning, of those projects. This is a 3D rendering of this building that we built with the demo software. So you can see that this is just a series of, I believe this was 153 photographs that built this model of the City Hall building. So the detail is amazing, and we're able to take square footages, volumes, and distance measurements with high degree of accuracy.
I think that there are several applications that the software can be used for. And our intention is to request funding at some point that would allow us to purchase the needed software.
Yes,
So you
sir.
might skip to kind of what the cost would be.
I will, that's my next slide. So the VIM software is $99.99 because we're buying it we would be buying it through the fire department. If there's a 10% public safety discount, so it would be $89.99. That is a perpetual license for the desktop software and 1 year of cloud storage for our data, as well as cloud processing. We're proposing a second year of online storage and processing for it's $9.99 a year, 10% of the cost of the product. Again, with a 10% public safety discount, it would be $8.99. It is an incredibly complex. I've been using it for about 40 days now, and as I work through the demos and really just getting a good grasp on it. They have a 2-day seminar on its basic and advanced operations. We're planning on sending someone to, most likely me, and then a 2-day 5-user seminar that we would have here in University City. The game plan of our agency is that we would take the 5 people, most likely supporting the fire department, police department, public works, community development, and Parks and Rec. And I would then train them the basic course, and then the customized 2-day class here would be customized and contoured for the needs of this city. And that's it. I actually have a map of human park there. I know the time was kind of pushed right now.
I would tell you that is being very modest. He's becoming more of an expert in this area, where other jurisdictions are looking to him, as well as helping to craft the program with the FAA. So he's become quite the expert. So if there are any questions, we'd be happy to respond to any that might have. Otherwise, we would move forward with making a funding request at a future on the future council agenda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes the city manager's report. I believe we move forward into the unfinished business section of the agenda. You have before you go to 9361, and we have the second reading.
An ordinance amending Schedule 3 of the Traffic Code to revise traffic regulation as provided herein.
Do we have the third reading?
An ordinance amending Schedule 3 of the Traffic Code to revise traffic regulation as provided herein.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion approved by Mr. Hales. Is there a second? Mr. McMahon. Any discussion? Mr. Hales.
Not so much discussion. I'd just like to acknowledge Mr. Chase, who sat through a very long traffic commission meeting, who sat through another very long presentation. So I thank you for doing this and your patience.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Carr?
Aye.
Councilmember McMahon?
Aye.
Councilmember Hales? Councilmember Kusick?
Aye.
Councilmember Smelton? Councilmember Clay? Mayor Pro?
Aye, thank you very much. The bill is passed. I will move to second reading of bill number 9362.
An ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute a contract between the city of University City and the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission providing for Westgate Avenue improvements.
Third reading, please.
An ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute a contract between the City of University City and the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission providing for Westgate Avenue improvements.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Carr, is there a second by Mr. Smotherson? Any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Councilmember McMahon.
Aye.
Councilmember Hills.
Aye.
Councilmember Kusick.
Aye.
Councilmember Smithson. Councilmember Clay. Councilmember Park. Mayor Pro.
Aye. Bill is passed. Moving on to the second reading of bill number 9363 as amended.
An ordinance fixing the compensation to be paid to city officials and employees as enumerated herein from and after its passage and repealing ordinance number 7082.
Thank you. May we have the third reading?
An ordinance fixing the compensation to be paid to city officials and employees as enumerated herein from and after its passage and repealing ordinance number 7082.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Carr, is there a second by Mr. Smotherson. Any discussion?
Here and council members, on this item, we would like to clarify exactly what this legislation, if approved, would achieve. And this housing will be working on this item.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. So just to clear up any misunderstanding, I just want to clarify a few things. The compensation ordinance bill number 9363 was initially approved, as you know, back in June for a July 1 start. What we're doing now is just changing the human resources manager, since the position was vacated and the human resources director is on board. There's really no need to have a human resources director and a human resources manager. So the proposal is to have a human resources generalist, and we are proposing that grade, the human resources manager was grade 15, and we're proposing grade 12 for the human resources generalist. And just a point of clarification in terms of process. So civil service rule number 4 speaks to the pay plan, and it states that the human resources director shall be responsible for the development of a uniform equitable pay plan that shall consist of minimum and maximum rates of pay for each class of position and such intermediate rates as considered necessary or equitable. After review and approval by the city manager, the proposed pay plan shall be submitted by the city manager to the city council for adoption. Additionally, amendments to the pay plan may be recommended by the HR director to the city manager with changes in responsibilities or work classes, etc. The city's financial condition or policy changes or further conditions warrant such action. And then the city manager shall review such recommendations when they submit them to the city council for consideration. And that is, again, civil service rule number 4, items 1 through 4. Also, with respect to removing the human resources manager position and adding an HR generalist position, the civil service rule number 3, which refers to the classification plan, states that the human resources director shall study the duties and responsibilities of each new position as it is created, and based on the study, allocate the position in the appropriate class for the duties performed. And again, that's civil service rule number 3, items A and B. And so just wanted to clarify that in terms of process for amending the pay plan as well as positions. And so with that, just wanted to also tell you the difference in salary from going from human resources manager of grade 15, which has a starting range of 50,000 to 58. We're suggesting we reduce that starting range to 44,028, which is a difference of 6230. And the second part of this bill, which is the reason for the amendment, that it was read on August 13th, and it did not have the part about changing the schedule. We're not changing the schedule, we're actually modifying it to make sure that it's aligned with Schedule A. So Schedule A has the hourly rates, Schedule B has the annual rates. And in going through it, I noticed some inconsistencies with the minimum and maximum rates of some of the ranges in terms of the annual rate, which is Schedule B. So we just changed it so that Schedule A matches, or so that Schedule B, which is the hourly rates, matches Schedule A. Because, so that Schedule B matches Schedule A. Because we're utilizing the hourly rates in our payroll system currently. And so we are actually in practice using the correct rates. We just want to make sure that they're aligned with the ordinance. So with that, if there are any questions, I'm happy to respond.
Mr. Scott.
Thank you, sir. Just a quick question. I just wanted to find out, so this becomes part of your staff, if that's basically what that is? So.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Clay. I'm sorry, could you just repeat the last part on the schedules again? I think I said it.
Oh, sure. I know I was kind of mixing it up. So Schedule A represents hourly rates in the pay plan. Schedule B represents the minimum and maximums, but they're annual. So it's really annualizing Schedule A, minimum and maximum. And so some of them were off, and this is just fixing them.
Any other questions for the city manager or director of human resources? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hills.
Aye.
Councilmember Kusick. Councilmember Smitherson. Councilmember Flynn. Councilmember Clark. Councilmember McMahon. Mayor Pro.
Ayes have it, Bill 9363 has passed. We'll now move forward into the new business section of the resolution number 5. Who would like to introduce? Introduced by Ms. Carr. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hale. Is there a discussion regarding budget amendment number 5?
Hello, Mayor, Council. I wanted to highlight a couple of the changing part, a couple of what's included in this proposed legislation. One is it increases the property funding by $500,000. Also included in this is a loan to the sewer lateral program that would cost various expenditures that we highlighted in the study session. And also it reflects the recovered telecommunications costs or revenues. Can you hear me now? It recovers the telecommunications monies that, if you recall, John Mulligan left those covered. So all of those are highlighted, are part of this proposed change.
Thank you very much. Any other questions regarding budget amendment number 5? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The budget amendment is passed. Who would like to introduce bill number 9364? Mr. Smitherson, Ms. Reese, would you please do first reading?
An ordinance amending chapter 505 of the University City Municipal Code relating to streets, sidewalks, and public places, trees, and shrubs by enacting therein a new section to be known as section 505.015, establishment of honorary streets.
Thank you very much. We'll now move into the council reports and business. Does any council member have a report they would like to share on any of the items in this section? Hearing none, we will move forward into citizen participation. This is the second round of citizen participation. Please step forward. We'll be limited to 5 minutes. And please state your name and address for the record. Our first request is Phoebe Bentley.
Hi, Beth Lewis, 7578 Cornell Avenue. When I got here this evening, I went to park, and I noticed a lot on the backside of the lot that had no parking restrictions at all on the backside. It's building by the police department, used to be. And I pull in and I park and I'm told, a police officer happens to come up and say, oh, you can't park here. And I said, well, where's the sign? I want to know, where, did I miss a sign? He goes, oh no, everyone knows you're not allowed to park back here except for officers. This is a problem. Maybe the sign was there and it was moved or taken down or whatever, but I almost would have probably had my car towed for a sign that does not exist, saying, apparently, I don't know that you're not supposed to park back there. There's nothing to indicate that you can't park back there. Yet apparently it is restricted to police officers. So please either don't tow people or put a sign there. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Cudley.
Good evening. I think I have a question now before I make comments with regards to Mildred Pettiford, City of Life Church, 8333 Fullerton Avenue, Apologize. So maybe I'm confused as to what was supposed to happen under new business with the bill being read. May I have clarification before I make any comments?
Absolutely. I would when the ordinance is introduced, it has to be read once at this council meeting, that is brought up for a second and the third meeting, the following council meeting, where a vote is actually taken on that ordinance.
I will reserve my comments until then. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is James Fields.
Good evening, Council. My name is James Fields. The address is 8369 Olive. I am the proprietor of Fine Daily Drop-In. I came here to address you guys. The guy came in the other day, his name was Timothy Paul. I don't know, I guess he's the guy who patrols the signs in your city. Evidently there are I guess there's a thing where flags are not permitted in your city. And so I did not see that when I was looking through different signs and stuff and trying to find out what I needed to do to promote my business. One, I'm a very new business and I've only been here for 3 months and I'm looking for ways to draw attention to where I am, as I am in a small plaza that doesn't have a name or nothing like that. And so the reason why I'm here is to address the situation of, I know we can have like a workhorse type of sign that it can only be 5 feet away from the building, and flags are not permitted at all. And what I was coming here to ask you guys was that if there is some way that we can like reconsider these type of things. As I was driving down and there's a daycare, they have, professional flags that are put up like mine is. And what I'm trying to do is trying to promote business, because a lot of times as you're driving down, there's a lot of things to see, and of course there's a lot of trees, which basically block, the view of where I am. And I'm trying to, like I said, draw attention to where I am, so where people are looking for it, they can easily find it, because you can easily pass it, and the trees are basically overgrown in front of it. So that's an issue that I've tried to call the city and the owner and Aaron and try to get people to, address the tree situation, as no one knows who the trees are. But my main concern is that I'm trying to have, professional flags out in front of my business in order to draw the attention, and at least if, we can have a professional flag, not, like nothing completely permanent, because if you're a known business, you don't really need to draw attention to yourself. But if you're a small new business, you need to be able to draw some type of attention to yourself. And if these flags are not really cheap at all, they cost hundreds of dollars, which you spend money on the pole and all these things that, if this is something that we could maybe make an ordinance to or a change to, where we can have it, be able to, like a limited amount of time to where we can give a business, because you allow a banner, for first opening up and stuff like that, it's a certain size and stuff. But to have a flag definitely draws more attention because a lot of people in the last 3 months have passed my place and said they had to drive by it 2 or 3 times just to be able to find it. And I'm at the busy intersection of Olive and Coolidge. And so if you drive by there, you know, there's like a Phillips 66 and then there's a Chinese barbecue that's catty-corner to where we are. But if you're driving down there, you can easily miss it, you know, and a lot of times I had my workhorse signs out there on the edge of the street so people can see them, and the guy who I guess he's the regular signage or something, I don't know what his position is, came in and told me that I couldn't have them on, you know, on the street. And no one could have them 5 feet away from the property. The way the property is structured, the way the parking lot is, the cars park, you know, sideways, so you really can't see it from the street. So it kind of really null and voids what I'm trying to do, like I said, to draw attention. So that's my only goal, is to be able to come up here and talk to you guys and see if there's a way that you guys can, you know, in the future reconsider ways to be able to have businesses who are just starting out, you know, they're willing to invest in professional signs to, you know, have them up there within that amount of time. As long as they're secure and stuff like that, so they, you know, cause the traffic accidents and everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next request to speak is Marianne Lucas.
Okay. I had an accident.
Please state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary Ann Lucas, 7414 Carrollton Avenue, Music Neighborhood, 36-year resident. Had an accident, the dog knocked me over, so now I have a walker. I also have non-handicapped accessible corners, should I want to cross the street. I have to go down the drive and down the street. So for 36 years, on Carlton and Mount Vernon, my corners have not been changed to handicapped accessible. Had a long conversation with Simon. We actually had an appointment to meet. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. I don't know if he's here or not. But that was the day of my accident, and I called him from the emergency room to tell him I could not make that. That's how important this is truly. Everybody is 3 seconds away from this. Really and truly. I'm not being facetious. I did not expect to fall and have a compression fracture in my neck or on my tailbone, but it's there. And I have a new mission. I'll talk to you about your doors later. Because your doors don't work well. People who are in wheelchairs and walkers or crutches. But I've talked to several people over the years. And here's what Sinan told me. The corners, and I don't know what year it became, you had to be compliant with the Disabilities Act to have those corners to be changed into accessibility. But here's what Sinan told me. And I hope I have this right because I had the notes in front of me to take my accident. Couldn't find them, but I'll find them. When a street is paved, then there's a requirement, I believe, maybe I shouldn't say requirement, but when the street is paved all the way up to that corner, then those corners are changed to handicapped accessible. And I believe I asked him how U City is not, you're not compliant with the Disabilities Act, but you have waivers, I believe. So until you get that paid, you don't have maybe a responsibility to do that yet. So for 36 years, I've been looking at those corners. Now, I drive all over New City. I was a teacher in New City. I've been everywhere in New City. I'm up and down all of it every day. There may be other corners like mine. I don't see them. And then they even go down all the way to the dead end of Mount Vernon, near what is now Carlisle, which used to be Anna. So I'm asking the city council and my city, my third ward councilman, who I said this to in passing, they know they heard. Please fix it. It needs to be done. Here's what happens to paving in my neighborhood. Cecile told me that when the street's paved, it's changed. So here's what has happened. There has been paving, I have to do it, I'm like vision first. Here's Midland, here's Olive. You go Melrose, Wellington, paving stops. Those corners are done, but the rest of Mount Vernon up to Carlton has not been paved for years. It's gray from Olive to Wellington, and then this brown stuff that they put on many, many years ago. Then from Midland up to Carlton, it's paved gray, because they didn't change the corners. There's still a curve there. There's no handicap ramp. So that's kind of how you see got away with it, maybe. They didn't pave the whole street. So they didn't have to change those corners. Now today I saw the patch guys, that's what I call it, because my husband told me that Taurus looking stuff that Public Works puts down on holes. It looks like something you put on blacktop. My husband said it's called patch. It's a soft substance, so cars will drive over it, harden it. So those guys work really hard. And they came out one day, probably in July, and whoever their supervisor came on our street and saw the concrete that was broken off outside my driveway. I thought about bringing it here to show you all, because I had a hard time driving down my driveway. Actually, I had to go get that piece of concrete that had been previously patched.
Your time is.
Okay, please do something about it, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our last request to speak is Steve Licker.
Thank you very much. Steve Lickert, 7750 Blackberry. Good evening. So several weeks ago, Mr. Smotherson mentioned in his closing comments, that he was invited to take a tour of a troubled area in 6900 blocks of Plymouth and Julian. He called out, or he challenged the city council to do whatever possible to take these houses. He was very adamant about that. Also in his comments, he mentioned that no one in University City has to live like that. Well, I think we all agree 100% with those observations, and I hope the progress is being made towards snuffing out those concerning issues. I too have a challenge for this council. It's actually pointed at Mr. Smotherson and Mr. Clinton. And it's equally disturbing. It's a problem in the Third Ward. It's in a neighborhood that I grew up in, and I'm very, very familiar with. And I still make a considerable amount of visits over there. But it's all encompassing in the addresses are the 6,500 blocks of Julian, Plymouth, Avalon, Corbett, 6,500 blocks, 6,600 blocks, 6,700 blocks of Etzel, Crest, Bartmer, and Chamberlain. It has to do with the conditions of the alleys. They are awful, disgusting. It's obvious that you have never toured this area, and you shouldn't need to have an invitation to tour these areas, because that's part of the deal. You have an obligation, a duty, and a responsibility to the citizens of the Third Ward. You know, the people that cast their ballot was a vote of confidence for you to hold this position. You completely turn your back on the residents in this area. You are non-existent. Since I have lived over there and I've had this recent, with Kingsland being under construction, I've taken several different avenues to get over that area. My challenge is so for you to come down to the east end, and you're gonna see garbage of all types. Rotting food, diapers, plastic bottles, boxes, all scattered throughout the alleys. You can also check out the discarded mattresses, discarded tires, construction debris, lawn waste, excessive overgrowth on vacant lots, garage doors barely hanging on or completely missing, garages collapsing, graffiti, cars parked on unpaved surfaces, commercial vehicles parked in backyards. There's a bust on the 6700 block of Crest, half on a pad, half in a yard. Abandoned cars, unlicensed cars, expired licensed cars, discarded wooden pallets or skids, discarded furniture, vegetation growing from each side of the alley, encroaching on the right of way of the alley. You can't even get through. Deteriorating wooden fences, collapsing retaining walls, and my personal favorite, and the chief mentioned Sutter and Etzel. This is on the U City side. No confusion. It's about a 250 square foot standalone building. It's all boarded up. It has no roof. 2 of the 4 walls have collapsed. And there are several 20 to 25 foot weeds or trees growing right out of the building. That's really nice. That's a real attraction here. You don't see this type of deal on Purdue or on Midland. So now you have a public invitation to get off your street and tour your whole ward, all of it, and a challenge to get it under control and clean it up. Because, as you said, no one in University City has to live like that.
That concludes the citizen participation portion of the evening. Council members, comments to be made. Ms. Carr.
Thank you. So we heard some pretty emotional things, and I'd like to kind of inform you. My last newsletter, or the one that I sent out on the 23rd, was sent out in June. I did not interfere with anyone speaking or any process that was taking place. I was very careful to allow for everyone. But I challenge anyone to find anything written or verbal where I said anything about the CBA, because I have not. I did, however, attend a meeting with clergy, and at that meeting, Mr. Rose, the mayor, Mr. Smotherson, and myself were at that meeting, as were 6 clergymen, actually 7. Of those 6 clergy people that were there was 1 clergy woman. Of the 6 clergy that were there, 1 had not signed this letter, and the others had. The funny thing is, that letter was never delivered to the mayor to whom it was addressed, to the council to whom it was addressed, or to the TIF commission to whom it was addressed. The only reason we knew about it was because, and this is a fact, on the meeting at August 8th, there were some flyers left on cars, and I was shown a scan of one of those flyers, and it talked about a letter. And I had heard the night before one of the clergy, who has a congregation in my ward, talk about a deficit of trust. And so I went to his website and found a sermon in which he mentioned that he had written, along with another clergy member, a letter to the council, and linked to that letter never had seen it, hadn't been delivered. And then I come to find out Friday morning that it is now showing up in the St. Louis American, still undelivered to anyone. At this meeting that took place after this, when we met with the clergy, there were 5 people who apologized that that happened, that they didn't come to the city to talk about it. One person didn't have to because he didn't sign the letter. And another, I'm not sure why he didn't say anything. That is a fact. It is a fact that there was a release on the cars. It is also a fact that a press release was made to the St. Louis American, and there was a article and a link, this time to a letter with a new date and one person added to that letter. I also happen to know that many of the clergy at that meeting asked Ms. Washington not to release it, not to release that letter, to hold on, to take a look. And apparently, she didn't inform them that she'd already released it. 2 of the clergy had to go to the St. Louis American and ask them to recall the article. These are all facts. I do not engage in petty work. I also believe that I should be able to speak as well. I should be able to tell my constituents when there's a problem. I have not weighed in on the CBA. I have not disinvited someone to stay here in the city. I can also tell you that I asked Mr. Rose, had he been contacted by Ms. Washington with regard to the CBA? And he told me no. I also asked my fellow council members, had they been contacted or to sit down and talk about it? They said no. We heard at the last meeting that we'd been sent a draft of the CBA or something to do with it. None of us had received it. What does this look like to you? Because to me, what it looks like is that someone is claiming that they have informed us, that they have tried to engage us, and we are turning our backs on them, that we are unresponsive. We are not being unresponsive. Not one of us has said no, because not one of us has really been asked to talk about this. So for whatever this is, I'm not particularly good at spin. I am good at telling things the way that I perceive them to be the truth, and to me they are the truth. I did not talk about CBA in my last newsletter. My newsletter actually dealt with the things that the city and the staff had done with regard to outreach to the stakeholders. So whatever this is really rather unfortunate. I think that with all of the I don't know what to call it, with all of the misunderstandings, missteps, whatever, when you're not even given the opportunity to discuss something, when you're not even given the opportunity to know that this letter that's being referenced in the media exists, when the people who have signed the letter haven't even come to you and asked you what it is you are doing, there's something wrong. There's a complete disconnect. I have spent the last almost 7 years, and then 3 years before that, working with citizens. I started out as a citizen advocate. I no more would turn my back if somebody asked me to sit down and talk to them about it or even work with them. I might tell them that I'm not capable of doing that, or I didn't feel like I had the skill set to do it, but I would not be unresponsive. For those of you that have received emails from me, sometimes they're multi-page because I am verbose and because I really want to cover all of the bases. This is not what we should be doing. We have something to celebrate, at least I think we do. Maybe some people don't, but the CBA was not brought to us. And just so you know, Mr. Smotherson and I worked for a long time to make sure that there was a community reinvestment component in the TIF. We weren't waiting for somebody else to tell us to do it. We were working on it. And so, yeah, so when it came out, it's as if that $15 million that we are reinvesting, that we are taking right off the top and reinvesting into our community has no significance. Believe me, I don't think that that's fair to the many people who worked hard on that. And I don't understand why it is that we were not contacted, about the CBA. I understand also that there's one person that is claiming that she has repeatedly tried to contact us. She's in my ward. I received one email from her months and months ago, and she asked a question. She did not ask anything to do with the CBA. So I don't know where this is coming from. If you want to work with us, please contact us. If you want to talk to us, please contact us. And if you have a question, please contact us. I cannot play this game of I'm not responsive, you're not responsive. I'm going to attack your integrity, you're going to attack my integrity. When Mayor Crow gave his speech after he was sworn in, he said it was time to put things away, to put away some of the bad feelings. I hope that's where we're going. I really do. Even if we don't get our way, people have asked me, well, if I talk to you, will it make any difference? Does it even matter if I talk to you? And my answer is, if you're in the majority, absolutely. If you're in the minority, maybe not. But I will be sensitized to what it is you're talking about. And so if there's any way I can adjust things around the edges, I'll do that. Even people who feel that that they didn't get exactly what they wanted have still gotten something. Their streets got paved, maybe that tree got trimmed, whatever it is. We're not ignoring you. We are not. We have many problems. That's not one of them.
Well, the first thing I'll do is something that I wanted to apologize to Ms. for not informing you about the process, and that was my fault. So I'll take full blame for that. And I did send an email, but it was at the last minute, and you're in there. But again, my apologies. The second thing that I will do is just find it interesting that somebody on Blackberry in the second ward is questioning and making a statement about my service in the third ward. What's interesting about that is that I probably have the same list he has, because I travel my ward every day. I travel the streets and alleys of my ward every day. But this one thing I will say is this, and this is actually a citywide problem. And I don't mean just you city problem, because if you watch the news, it's a St. Louis City problem. And that problem is dumping in alleys is an everyday occurrence. So if my list is sent to the city manager and we address that problem at that time, guess what happens the very next day? You find dumping, trash, mattresses, any and everything that you can think of. It's not just a weekly problem or a monthly problem, or whenever you decide to come into the third ward and travel the alleys. No, this is an everyday occurrence. And the city manager can verify my participation and comments and contact with him about that problem. Thank
Thank you. I just very quickly just want to personally acknowledge much of what Ms. Carr said about discourse. We heard tonight, valuing discourse. I certainly value discourse. I've had an enormous number of conversations, emails back and forth regarding the Allen 170 development. But as she said, I have never been contacted by some of the people who are saying that they have contacted us. We simply didn't receive documents. The only document that came out was less than 48 hours before the TIF on the 21st. It had a date on it, I believe, August 1st. So it's kind of hard to have a dialogue and have a conversation when there's no request to have that. Separately, I think and I agree with Ms. Carr again, that I think what happened last Thursday was an incredible moment. I think we're on the cusp of really fantastic opportunity on many levels, and it was an incredible achievement. But I just want to take this time to recognize, and I hope everyone in the room, no matter what side of this issue you are on, recognize the amount of work that our staff put into meeting after meeting after meeting, late nights. When all of us left Thursday night, there were at least 2 staff members that were there, 3 staff members that were there picking up, working absolutely overtime. They all, to Mr. Rose, I think did an absolutely magnificent job. I hope that they are recognized. And I'm very pleased that a number of them are not here tonight and taking the night off. So, nice.
And I'll say very quickly, reiterating what Councilmember Ailes has said. There was an article this past week in the Post-Dispatch, at least the online version, that named the top 10 highest paying municipalities. City Manager Rose would be shocked to know that University City was not among them. The top, I believe, was Wildwood. We saw Webster Groves. We saw other municipalities. While public service in any context is challenging, we saw municipalities with decidedly, shall we say, less intricate issues in University City. So, again, to echo Mr. Ailes' sentiment, the city staff has done tremendous work thus far, and the reality is that the work in many ways has just begun. So I want to laud them, understanding that they are not among the top 10 highest paid municipal workers in this region.
Thank you, Mayor. I, as well, want to jump on the bandwagon. Mr. Ailes said the thank yous before I could, but I agree with him completely, as well as with the other words of encouragement from all of the city staff and everyone that worked very hard, and especially council members Smotherson and Carr for starting this process, and especially with council member Carr for taking this heat. I would like to say address something that Ms. Washington said, that she implied that Councilmember Carr was trying to silence her, and believe me, that's not the truth. No member of this council or anyone on the city staff has ever done anything to try to silence any resident or any voice or anyone that wants to have anything to say. And I just want to say that Ms. Carr did not deserve that, and that she certainly has my support, and will have my support in the future. And I look forward to seeing what we can do to work better for the betterment of the Olive redevelopment project. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and council members, just wanted to advise you that the work that staff will be involved in as it relates to the creation of programs should this TIP continue to move forward, really is just getting started. Our intention is certainly to continue to do significant outreach to the citizens in order to continue to gain their input into how we should craft these programs, what's going to work, what won't work. So I didn't want to assure you that the outreach efforts have not stopped. In fact, it's just the opposite, it's just getting started.
Thank you very much. As we close out the meeting, I'll be brief. Last Thursday night was a big night for all of us, but it was sort of the, if you will, the end of the beginning, because we really have a lot of work ahead of us, and staff did do an incredible job, and so did the citizens in sharing both their pros and their cons regarding the development. One of the things that I do hope that people will stress to the people to your left, to your right, behind you, and in front of you, is that maybe it's time that we start talking to and with each other rather than at each other. Because it seems to me that really we are at a time where in this community, I think that we need to continue that dialogue that I think in many ways, I think the TIP actually brought out. I think it also means that we need to take time to listen to each other with respect, even if we disagree. As we move forward through the TIP, as I said Thursday night, there are plenty of further opportunities for our citizens, pro and con, to share their opinions regarding the Olive and 170 development. A couple of things I also want to mention that what you should be seeing from us still in the next few months is that council will be working on updating its rules. We are also reviewing the commission structure for University City. We have also been working on and continue to review the outsourcing of our ambulance service, and so that continues. And we also, so I think many of you know, have been working with MSD on their storage facility issue. I think you may have seen where this past week that Washington University in Clayton sort of hit a bump in the road with the ability to house more students in Clayton. And I think that's actually something that probably may have some impact on University City. So I think it is incumbent upon the city manager and all of us as council members to pay attention to the WashU relationship and determine how that relationship needs to change and to be improved. So with that, if there's nothing else from the body, I would welcome a motion that we adjourn. Motion by Mr. Hale, second by Mr. McMahon. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.